Hey everyone, Britzza here from Epic Geeks, and I'm here with something a little bit more raw, shall we say. Something that's a little bit more of a gut reaction to what I've seen online in response to the Legion announcement, or the release date, sorry, of the of Legion being announced. That, as many of us know, if not all of us know, is the 30th of August. So Legion is a mere 4 months away. And I think, in the most part, the community is excited. I would probably... No, I wouldn't probably... No, I will use... I will use the word cautiously excited, because I think there's a sort of... There's a tempered excitement there, because of some of the overarching questions from the alpha and things like that. But I think overall, people are really excited to have a date. I think the alpha feels like it's been going on forever. I think it feels like we've been watching Legion on Twitch and hearing about it at conventions and through websites, and just not really having a chance to sink our teeth in. And yeah, you know, people like me have alpha access, but it's not the game. It's testing. So I think people are excited to have a date when they know they'll have the game. I think they're excited because of what that means for possible pre-patch and pre-events. I think some people are even speculating we could start to see things as early as June. But that's a different discussion altogether. Needless to say, I think people are very happy that we've got the date. However, something that's really surprised me with the whole announcement is some of the criticism that's come out. And it's kind of odd to think that this announcement could be met by criticism, because it seems like all I've ever heard is people saying, when are we going to get that announcement? When are they going to, stop relying on this massive 9-month window they set themselves? Because, of course, the game could have come up anytime. I think it was 21st of September, going off the top of my head. So I don't see why people would react negatively to the date. But there is one criticism that I see again and again. So here we are. This is the Battle.net announcement. They did a press release. They did all sorts of other announcements. But here's the main Battle.net page telling us, 8th of American way of putting it around, the 30th of August is the release date. And then we go into the comment section. Dare I say, we delve into the comment section where very few people come out sane. And we see some really positive stuff. Cool. Hope pre-patch is soon and lasts a couple of months. From Gwendy, fair point. I hope it lasts a couple of months as well. And if we scroll down, don't care how long it took. Just hope they get this one right. From Katniss, totally agree. I think a lot of people are hoping that they don't sort of go down a similar path to Warlords in terms of overall reaction. I think that's fair to say. Then we have something from Oriune, I don't know how you pronounce that. Please find a way to always have some sort of new content released every 6 to 8 months. So expectations are very high. So yeah, positive reaction, I think, in the most part, but a lot of expectations sort of tempering that. And then I think we get into some negativity. This post alone has more content than WOD. It says a lot about perhaps the tone that Legion's going to have to overcome from launch. 40 months of Hellfire Citadel, unacceptable. People are starting to compare this again to Siege. I've seen so many videos talk about association and how, we still perhaps might be mirroring the mistakes of the past. But the thing I want to get into, long story short, is a post just down here. Here we go, from Tough Guy Bob. And this isn't a call out. This isn't anything malicious or mean. This is just me picking on a particular comment and something that I've seen echoed across other YouTube channels and Twitter feeds. So he says, okay, on a serious note, this is terrible. I really thought they would capture the hype from the movie with a well-timed pre-patch. The movie releases June 10th, so a bunch of new players will flood in, only to learn their class and get the feel, then to be bombarded with a complete overhaul. That's a question. I've completely read that wrong, but it's a question. If the pre-patch doesn't release end of June, you guys really missed that sweet spot that could have been. So I'm going to say, firstly, I understand what he's trying to say, and there is a truth to this, that if we had the pre-patch or the launch, if we had some sort of content, whether it's the pre-patch or the launch of Legion, around June, then yes, people would come out the movie And theoretically, we could say they would, if they wanted to join the game, they would join the game, at its softer side, its emptier side, the tail end of an expansion, which is never, the greatest place to be, because a lot of people have logged off or unsubscribed waiting for the new expansion. Basically, they're going to be joining a very, what feels like an empty world. That's fair enough. And other people who have pointed this out have also gone down the route of saying, okay, so you're not going to release it in June, but instead you're going to hope that people watch the Warcraft movie and get really hyped up for 3 whole months before Legion gets released. Or, I guess you could say they get hyped for a month or 2, depending on when the pre-patch comes out. But I don't think the pre-patch is the main content that they would want players to get hooked on. So yeah, both of those are correct assumptions. But I think this whole argument really just bemuses me. And there's a reason for that. I just don't really understand this idea. And I think I've kind of touched this on Geeks of Azeroth, but I don't think I've explicitly said it. I personally don't understand this view that the Warcraft movie needs to be a direct part of marketing Legion. Why does it need to be a part of selling Legion as a game? And there's a number of reasons, number of examples I want to use to try and illustrate this. So the first one is when's the last time you ever watched a film and bought anything in response to that film? And I know people are going to say that because Star Wars was a thing, and I can imagine there were so many examples. But when was the last time you bought a game or something quite substantial, something that's $40, or whatever it is now? It's probably about $60 actually, Legion, but about 30 quid, double that in dollars. When was the last time you did that? It probably wasn't recently. I can imagine it probably isn't often. And I'm going to use perhaps a really blunt force example for me. I went to see the Deadpool movie. I really loved it, and the Deadpool movie did absolutely fantastically. I mean, let's have a quick look. $300 million worldwide, $300 million worldwide in its weekend debut alone. It was an unequivocal, can't even get my words out. Unequivocal, there we go, just about got it out. Success. So, a huge amount of money, huge amount of popularity, but how many people then went and bought the actual product, the core product, i.e. the comics? So, quickly glancing, again, I realise this is a really odd example. Some people might disagree. It's just something I'm trying to illustrate the point. But January 2016, bear in mind Deadpool came out February 10th. So we can see here, Deadpool, where is it? There it is, 14th. 60,000 copies being sold in that month alone. February 2016, Deadpool shoots off not just one entry, 2 entries in the 90,000 mark. Undoubtedly helped by the film. No question about that. Even I was tempted when I was, visiting my local bookstores, Waterstones and other things like that. You'd see Deadpool and you think, God, maybe it is worth checking out. Even I felt that. But I'll get on to that in just a second. Then in March, so a month after the film, look, Deadpool 8th, 72,000, so a little bit of a dip, quite a considerable dip, I guess you could say, in terms of overall Deadpool comics. Deadpool appears quite a lot in this. So, look, there he is already, 25th for another 52,000. I'm not trying to say that Deadpool was only popular or more popular because of this film. I'm just trying to show there's a trend when the movie comes out. And then you sort of see that similar again. Hang on, I think it's about 90,000 again. Yeah, there we go. 96,000. So, Deadpool, incredibly popular comic franchise. Clearly there was a spike when the film came out, that was. But what I want to say is, how much do you think that spike was due to the fan base? And I guess what I'm trying to say is, how much do you think the overall pool of people who are buying those comics actually were just people who visited the film for the first time, watched the film for the first time, just went, you know what, I'm going to become a Deadpool comic fan now? I don't think it's that many. And what I'm trying to say is that I think we often overestimate how much of a sort of potential Legion fan base there is in this potential Warcraft movie fan base, because millions will potentially see the Warcraft movie. But I think it's crazy to think that there's going to be millions who immediately think, pick up the game, because that's not how people do it. There's not a huge amount of people who buy the stuff after they've seen the movie. You know, if Avatar, I'm just plucking examples out of the air. If Avatar had products or comics, would I buy them? Star Wars is probably different, but you know, how many people went out and then thought, you know what, Star Wars Battlefront's a game I want to pick up. I know it came out before, but you know, Star Wars Battlefront is a game that I want to pick out after I saw Star Wars. No one. Well, one, because it wasn't great, but two, because I don't think people actually do that. And I think there's a very small minority of people who would actually have the capacity, in Blizzard's view, to translate from moviegoer to World of Warcraft subscriber. I just don't think it's that big. And, you know, to look at it from a different way, let's say, you know, I think it's crazy to think 10, 20% of every Warcraft, the whole Warcraft movie fan base, or people who go to watch the movie, would pick up Legion. I don't think that's realistic. I just don't think that's a number that just works, because you think about it, when you go see a movie, you're going to see a movie. Again, I'm just repeating myself in some ways. You don't go in thinking, I'm going to watch this, and if I like it, I'm going to pick up all the stuff behind it. You might pick up a book, or you might pick up something quirky with it, or a poster, but you're not going to pick up a 50 quid game and subscribe and, you know, think, oh, you know what, actually I've watched this movie and now I'm quite dedicated to the idea of sitting on my PC for hours on end. And unless you're that sort of person, you're not going to be that guy or girl, I should say. But let's say, for example, I think a realistic sum would perhaps be 0.05% of the fan base, or or people going to the movie. So let's say, for example, a sum of 20 million. Actually, you know what? I've got a tab open. I did it up for 200 million. Here we go. 0.05% of 200 million. So say 0.05% of a 200 million person population visiting or seeing the Warcraft movie turn into World of Warcraft subscribers. As you can see there, that's 100,000 players. That's less than Nostarius. So you're getting, you know, I hope this is giving a sense of just how unrealistic it is to think that there's going to be a mass swathe of people coming to play the game as a result of the movie. And also that those statistics have to be massive. You know, you've got, if you have 20% of 200 million, then I'm sure that will work quite differently. Okay, yeah, look, you've got you've got 40 million people signing up, so that's absolutely fine. But you're not going to get a 40 million subscriber jump ever. So it's just realistic numbers. And I think what I'm trying to show here is that, one, people don't tend to buy products after films. They tend to just go and watch the film. This is also, the whole of this video is relying on the fact that the Warcraft movie is good. Some people believe it might not be. And, you know, that's a totally different discussion, and I'm not necessarily in that camp. But the numbers just don't back up what people, I think, are hoping for if the Legion and the movie were synced up in some way. Because even if they were, I don't think they would pull in anything more than about 500,000 subscribers. That would be a phenomenal success based on what they could hope for. And 500,000 players is not going to change the perceptions or the views of a lot of the player base in terms of the popularity of the game. I think subscribers are a very dangerous topic. Again, a different video, but I just don't think it's going to garner the attraction and flood the WoW playing community just because of the movie. I don't think it's going to do it. So that's just one way to look at it. And putting that aside, I want to look at why they've chosen that release date. Because I think, you know, partially that logic is showing one particular side of it, why they didn't clip it onto the movie or near the movie or put the pre-patch near the movie, whatever. There's a reason they chose August. And I just want to not just touch now, I want to go into that and show why this is actually a smart move for Blizzard and also for World of Warcraft and us as players. So, one, and this is a really obvious one, so sorry for putting it so bluntly, but the game's not finished. You know, let's have a quick look. Where have I put that? I've put some sort of link somewhere. Nope, I can't even find it. So, needless to say, I've lost my link. But the game's not even done. So oh, here it is. The game's not even finished. They've just released the cap for 110, and ironically, Destruction Warlocks have just come into the game. Suramar isn't even there to test. I don't think that's gonna be available to test. But there's still stuff they got to tighten, and the thing that they didn't want to do is rush a game. How many times have we seen a game rushed and just slammed it for doing the same thing as other cruddy developers do? And Blizzard's not one of those. They're not going to rush a game to try and match a movie. They're not going to rush a game just to get it to us quicker. They're going to do the game that they want to do. They've always said that from the beginning, and I respect them for that, because it's their product. That Warlords has shown how a developer can be slammed for what is perceived as the failings of its game. So they don't want to do that again. Who would want to put themselves through that again? What employee at Blizzard would want to do that again, rather than spend some good quality time tightening up a game, even if they're not doing major things, just making sure they've got the breathing room to make changes? I think it's incredibly important for them. So yeah, that's it. The game's not finished, so it was never going to come out with the movie anyways. Again, blunt force kind of reasoning, but still, it's got to be said. Now, the other thing is that people talked about combining it with the movie, and I don't think that's a smart decision in any case, because Legion has to fit in with the gaming market, and that seems like a really obvious thing. But if you're, say, for example, listing something on eBay, and I'm sure we've all done this, when you list something on eBay, what's the first thing you do? If you're like me, the first thing you do is you look on eBay what other people are selling that product for. So what you're doing really is you're looking at similar products, when people are selling them, and sort of the success they're having with them. Although you can't really tell that from a future perspective if you're looking ahead. But Blizzard is trying to sell a game, so they're going to be looking at other games coming out, because that's what gamers are going to be looking for. Again, I don't think these demographics of moviegoers and gamers completely line up as much as we think we do. We're not, it's not every single Blizzard lover is going to go watch this movie and no one else. It's a huge mass of people who've probably not even heard of Blizzard in some cases. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly touch on some of the releases that are happening when I actually get to the right page, that is. And here, I've just pulled up a list on some of the releases that are coming out in 2016. So here we are in April. Dark Souls 3 has just come out. I'm not going to linger on this. The game isn't finished. It was never going to come out here. May, let's say, for example, they did get the game slightly ahead and released a patch, like a pre-patch early, and the invasion event started. Look what this game has to compete with. Are you buying Mirror's Edge Catalyst? Total War Warhammer, I'm picking that up. Doom seems to be quite popular with a lot of people at the moment. I haven't really seen much about it myself to make a judgment. Uncharted 4, even though it's been pushed back, an example of something that's been pushed back, so it's bound to get a lot of attention when it comes out. Battleborn, which I don't know much about, but seems to be a competitor for Overwatch in some ways, and Overwatch, and I'll get onto that in just a second. But already a huge amount of competition, and I think the thing we've got to remember is these are games that entice all of us. No player, no gamer is just a Blizzard gamer. I know so many people who play Blizzard games who are definitely going to be playing this for the better part of a month when it comes out. I definitely want to be playing this. And also, we don't all have thousands of pounds or dollars to spend on games. And, we're not all YouTube megastars who get sent games for free. We have to pay for these. And I certainly would have to choose between, if, say, Legion was plonked in here, I would have to choose between... Well, Mirror's Edge would get the cut, I'll be honest. Mirror's Edge would get the cut eventually, but I wouldn't want to cut it off because I'd want to play it. So why should Legion want to try and tempt me when it could possibly lose? Although it doesn't, it wouldn't lose, but it doesn't know that it's not going to lose. When so much is out there that might take my money and my attention. June, when the movie comes out, I think the only thing that really catches my attention, No Man's Sky. We don't all have VR headsets, so it's probably not a huge competitor to Legion. Lego Star Wars. Lego games are really quite popular, so I don't know how well it would do in comparison. But and I'm not saying Legion would completely fail because of Lego Star Wars, but I'm saying, this is when the movie comes out. So this is where Legion has to fit in. Again, it's not finished, so it's not really worth considering too much, but still, there's a lot of games there that some people might be interested in. I don't know. I don't know these games, so if you're interested in them, then hopefully that shows my point that there's other things getting your attention already. And then July to December, because we don't know a lot, obviously it's not too full. And there it is, World of Warcraft Legion plonked right in the middle, August 30th. And I think this is a really crucial thing. This paragraph here, October, November, December, undoubtedly the busiest months of the year because it's the lead up to the holidays. People are saving up for those times, buying games in advance for kids, family, whatever. And also it's when these major developers start bringing out the big guns. I don't know whether we can call Assassin's Creed too much of a big gun, but it certainly gets sales. Call of Duty, Battlefield, Call of Duty. We have to remember as well. Yeah, Activision produced these games, so the overarching company to Blizzard has games coming out in this mega busy period as well. So in a way, and I'm going to get into this in a second, it doesn't want to compete with itself, but I'll come back to that. So here it is, World of Warcraft Legion, 30th of August. Not too close. Well, I get it's in the Goldilocks zone, isn't it? It's far out from these sort of games where people have played them and got quite perhaps fed up with them, or they've played them enough by this point. But it's not too close to this lovely period here, where we're all going to be saving up our money or buying games that people have asked us for, or just games that catch our attention. We don't know what else is going to join this list as well. Final Fantasy 15, huge game coming out September 30th. So only a month after. Again, there's sort of concerns around this game, but Attack on Titan Wings of Freedom, I've seen something about that. August 30th as well. I'm not saying that's a major competitor, but still, it's something that I'm aware of that I was keen to perhaps try out, coming out on the same day as World of Warcraft Legion. And what I'm trying to show is that it's getting quite cramped here in the middle of the year. And I think this is actually a really smart place to put the game because it avoids this heavy sort of pre-Christmas zone where all these big games come out. And it's getting away from all the other major releases and giving Legion time, I think, just to breathe on its own, to breathe as a game that stands out from the crowd. You have to remember, you think about other things as well that influence the success of a game. How it's not just sales, it's not just players, it's how often people are talking about it. I think more than ever, people on YouTube, and I don't count myself in this demographic, but people who are incredibly popular who talk about games on YouTube are hugely influential in getting people to buy games and other content. So if they're too busy talking about these games, Overwatch, Total War Warhammer, Uncharted 4, they're not talking about Legion. Or Legion has to try and fight for some of that free advertising. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And same with big professional journalists like IGN, and the other ones. My brain's getting a bit brain block trying to think of some, but you get what I'm trying to say is that it's empty here. It's ripe for the taking, where they can get a lot of attraction, a lot of popularity, and they haven't got to fight off too much in this little space here before things start heightening up here. So that makes total sense. And the last thing is, well, I want to bring you to this. I kind of flicked on this a second ago. Obviously, it's a picture of Battle.net. I didn't want to bring up my own Battle.net. I don't know why. I just felt a bit funny about bringing mine up, but I put up some random generic one from obviously years ago. And the thing I want to say about this is my third and I guess final point. Blizzard knows what Blizzard fans do. And by that, I mean this isn't just an interface for you choosing which games you play. This is Blizzard's way of knowing what games you're playing and how long you're playing them, your play style, your playing habits. And I don't mean that in a creepy Big Brother way, not at all. But what I mean is this is a tool for Blizzard to measure how often people are engaging with their games. And I think it's fair to say that what perhaps started as, I'm talking like probably as close as 7 years ago, maybe even a little bit sooner, but not too soon. What existed as, there were Diablo fans, there were World of Warcraft fans, there were StarCraft fans. What existed as those? You kind of had your games that you liked, possibly one, two. You might have been a Blizzard fan before that. I think what we've moved to now is Blizzard fans. Games that people flick between. Do you play all the games on Battle.net? I think most people do. I think most people engage with all the games. I think there's no barrier to it. I think this does a great job of trying to sort of cross-sell them to all of us. But overall, I think we split our time amongst a lot of Blizzard games, at least more than one. I don't think there's many people who just play one game on their own. I don't think that they exist. And if you are that person, let me know in the comments, and let me know why you only play one game, because I'd love to hear why. The point being is that this helps Blizzard understand its player base, how often it's splitting its time. And I think they're very clued up to the idea that we all play more than one Blizzard game, and as a result, we are all potential buyers of Blizzard games now. And that has led them to create a cycle across all their development. If you think about it, BlizzCon, now we're approaching BlizzCon 2016. We're in a really odd position because a lot of the games would have been announced or released. So Legion would be out, Overwatch will be out, Hearthstone would have had its expansion for that sort of period of time, and StarCraft has kind of come to a close. It probably might have some mission packs, but they're not big announcements. The only thing, and I think the inevitable thing, is Diablo 4, or certainly a new iteration of Diablo, whether that's a mega expansion or a new game altogether. I think it's got to be a new game by now. But that's the main announcement. And if that is the case, and that's the only major announcement, what it shows is that there's a constant annual sort of release schedule for Blizzard. And I want to go back to Overwatch, and the fact that it's coming out on May 24th. We saw it earlier in the list here. May 24th, Overwatch. Now, May 24th is about 2 and a bit weeks before the Warcraft movie, which comes out on the 10th. However, for some reason, it's coming out on the 3rd of June in the UK, and if anyone could tell me why it's saying that, or it's just a glitch, again, let me know. But that's only 2.5 weeks before the Warcraft movie. So what I want to ask you this, I'm asking this personally to you. 2.5 weeks, or when you see the Warcraft movie, are you would you be the person to drop Overwatch and start investing a bit more time in Legion? And if so, how much would you split your time between the two? I think it would be crazy to release Overwatch anywhere near, anywhere closer than a month and a half, maybe even 2 months close to Overwatch, because that game is going to be huge. Again, think about how the media channels around Blizzard talk, and I mean like the free stuff like MMO Champion and Wowhead, they are all Blizzard centric now. They talk about all games, so they're going to be talking about Overwatch like nothing else matters. You don't want, how can you release Legion when that's the case? Because you can't split up their focus. You want them to be talking about nothing but one of your newest games on the market. And then when that's tired and it's, people have got used to that and it's sort of leveled out. I say tired, I don't mean tired, but I mean, it's leveled out. The people who are going to buy it have bought it and it's got a nice steady player base, growing perhaps. That's when you think about your next release. And that is Legion. Well, of course, we've got Hearthstone, Whispers of the Old Gods. There's bound to be other sort of mini releases, new characters in Hearthstone. But the point being is that they're staggering this really, really nicely. And what I would say to people who say, you should. I don't want to talk too much again about the movie syncing up with the movie, but what I think people need to understand is Blizzard is not just releasing games; they are juggling franchises. And I don't juggle. I can't juggle for diddly squat. But I'm pretty sure that the general rule is that you give whatever you're juggling, you give it all of it equal attention, and you spread it out. You don't try and catch, if you're juggling 7 balls, you don't try and catch 3 of them in one hand so that you can have a bit more room with the other. You stagger it, and you get a nice pattern going, and you give I'm talking about juggling. I don't know what the hell juggling, how it works, but hopefully the image is sort of gaining traction. It's juggling games, and when you juggle games, you've got to have a pattern. You've got to have a routine, and you can't mess it up. When you're spending millions and millions of pounds and dollars on creating those things to juggle, you got to have a routine. So that's that. And this sort of leads to my summary point overall, which is that Legion is, I think that the announcement gives Legion the best chance to grow organically. It gets it away from the movie, which is a different story altogether, so it's going to confuse people who want to join anyways. And it's just not crowded with its own releases, or any other non-Blizzard games for that matter. And that's what I've tried to show, is that it's a nice space where Legion exists in and of itself within Blizzard's release schedule and within all the other releases going on. Now, I can't convince you in this video whether Legion's going to be the game we all want. That's for you to decide based on what we see. I think, personally, that this is going to be a turning point for WoW, because WoW has been evolving for years. It has always been trying new things, and you cannot fault Blizzard for trying that. Maybe they haven't tried the things that people have been asking for, and that's, a comment on listening to the community. Again, a different discussion altogether, but I think this is an evolution in the right direction, because it's focusing on the world. I feel like Legion's going to make me feel like I'm actually part of the world in Warcraft or in WoW. And that's incredibly important for me. And I think the player base has also, and this is a great thing, the player base has become aware that community is the issue here. The whole nostalgic feelings we have for Burning Crusade and Wrath is talking to people to get things done, to complete quests, to group up for raids, to do things in the game. You had to talk to people. And I think that's what we're all aware of, at least aware of now, is that we're not doing that. Now, we don't want to go back completely to having to whisper trade chat forever and ever and ever to get into a group, but I think now the community's understanding what it wants, and it's been very vocal. I think Blizzard's hopefully hearing that, but I think this is a step in the right direction overall. But it is a wait and see. Alpha's still going for the moment, and 4 months is a good time to wait, I think, not only for the reasons that I mentioned, but I think it also leaves us in a great position for BlizzCon. I touched on BlizzCon earlier. I think when BlizzCon rolls on at the beginning of November, I think we'll be in a position to hear about how the story will be developing in Legion, because we would all have played it, hopefully got at least a level 110 going, maybe even a couple. And I think, if you think about if players do join up, then they're going to be keen to hear from Blizzard's at BlizzCon as well. They're going to want to hear about that time, what they can expect going forward, and new content, patch tiers and things like that. But putting all that aside, the thing is that having it where it is now gives us plenty of time to enjoy other games, to in some ways, and I know this sounds a bit crazy, but to get away from WoW, and to play all the Blizzard games and non-Blizzard games that are coming out in between, to play Total War Warhammer and Mirror's Edge and all the other stuff, and whatever. If it's in that list or it's getting released between now and 30th of August, you can play that. You can stretch out and come back refreshed for Legion. I don't know if that's an active consideration with the Blizz devs, but I think it's certainly a good coincidental point to make, and I think when we all do come back being a bit more refreshed, that we'll be excited for the new story, and we'll be able to go in with the sort of energy that Legion needs us to go in with. I think we all need to be more positive. I think we need to make sure that if people do join the game, they come into a community that's excited and not too concerned about the expansion. And I think we'll do it. And I'm hopeful for what Blizzard's going to do. And I think it will actually do a lot to persuade people that Blizzard can deliver, and probably, for lack of a better word, fix the mistakes that it's made of the past. So that's my discussion on the release date and why I think it's a good thing, and why, as I said at the beginning, it shouldn't come out around the Warcraft movie, and why that negativity doesn't seem to make sense in my mind. That's really where this whole video is coming from. I just don't understand the criticism of the date more than anything else. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. And, please let me know if you want to hear more of these videos. I'm going to try and do more. Again, this is very raw image. As you can tell, it's a raw video. I'm not editing it. And I think I like these sort of things. It's good to sort of talk to people. I hope you're listening. And sort of share thoughts and things like that. So let me know what you think of the video as well. Whether there's anything I could do better. Again, it's new to me. I'll try and see if I can improve and get a better style going with these. And otherwise, I hope you're looking forward to Legion as much as I am. And again, let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And until then, have a great week in gaming, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.